Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. Failed Ponzi scheme and cryptocurrency exchange FTX has received approval to liquidate a bunch of crypto holdings, including XRP, and so understandably there has been conversation within our XRP community about what this sale of XRP will mean for the price of XRP. Is this just going to crater the damn thing because now there's going to be a huge quantity of XRP from FTX to be liquidated on the market? Is this going to crater us and we have to deal with even lower price action? Well, that's what I want to talk about. And Attorney Hogan had something to say, although more on the legal side, not so much the price cratering side, which I want to share with you, because a federal judge did authorize this. And he says, well, what do you think that means in terms of the legality of these sales? There's also, here's that line, from the Crypto Basic. SEC continues to lose when seriously challenged in court. So says Ripple CLO, Chief Legal Officer. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so let's jump into this first piece from the Crypto Basic titled FTX Lands Court Approval to Liquidate Solana, Bitcoin, XRP, Other Assets Worth Around $3.4 billion. Well, billion with a B, that does sound like a big figure, so are we in for a world of hurt as XRP holders? A Delaware court on Wednesday granted a proposal by bankrupt crypto exchange FTX to liquidate its assets. The company holds an estimated $3.4 billion worth of crypto, with Solana, Bitcoin, ETH, Aptos, and XRP making up their top 5 holdings, Tether, USDT, exempted. These funds include $1.1 billion worth of Solana, $560 million in Bitcoin, $192 million worth of ETH, $137 million in Apt, and $119 million in XRP. In its USDT stablecoin holdings are worth around $120 million and have less potential to impact the crypto market. And so here's a chart that was shared. It's from CoinGecko, shared by Crypto Potato. And they got the list on the screen of the cryptocurrencies that are worth the most in terms of dollars. And so there you can see XRP worth $119 million. And by the way, this is as of August 31st, 2023. And at that point in time, XRP was more or less 50 cents, maybe 51 cents, but roughly that. And so we can use some round numbers to do some quick math in our heads. So if the XRP was worth that much on August 31st, that means that FTX had somewhere in the neighborhood of about, let's call it 240 million XRP. So is this something that, once it hits the market, is this something that's going to crater the price of XRP? Should we have fear? No, absolutely not. So check this out, just to put things in perspective here. 240 million XRP is only about 0.45% of the circulating supply of XRP. 0.45% of circulating supply. And then about half of that, if you consider the max supply of 100 billion, it would be closer to half of that even. But in terms of circulating supply, which I think is more consequential, to be fair here, that 240 million is about 0.45% of the circulating supply of XRP. So even if magically this was all sold, all the XRP was sold, say there was a whale that wanted to purchase, almost what was it, $119 million, or there's 240 million-ish XRP. Even if a whale wanted to do that, they could purchase over the counter. This is a possibility that could be done, and even if not all at once, maybe it's a series of transactions. Either way, but when there's a purchase that's done, if it's to be quick and it's for larger purchases over the counter, you can purchase, by the way, if you've got bigger money, you can purchase over the counter from pretty much any exchange out there, even Coinbase. And so one of the primary benefits to that is you're not going to sap up all the liquidity. You can purchase directly from the exchange itself, and then you're not going to cause any sort of immediate price fluctuations because nobody's even going to see that it's happening. It's just trading wallets. You give the money to the exchange, they send you the crypto, right? So nobody. So if there are these large purchases, first of all, the world wouldn't even know immediately. Now that's not to say that the impact of supply and demand doesn't matter, but you're not talking about a change in the supply of XRP that would be seen on a particular exchange. Because again, if it's over the counter, that it's not going to show. People aren't going to even be aware that this is happening. Which isn't to say that supply and demand, of course, supply and demand, of course, it would be a factor still, but people will be oblivious to this and unaware. And so then, as people are going through their daily lives, more people jump into crypto. Some people want to sell some crypto that they hold. This is just how it is with over-the-counter transactions. As that happens, supply and demand dynamics do play out. But people are going to be none the wiser. They're not going to know that this is happening. And by the way, when you're talking about 0.45% of circulating supply, even if that were known and it immediately hit the market and there was an immediate dip in price, which there wouldn't be, but even if there were, well, that would even out, and global markets would absorb that. And even if there were a temporary dip by like a penny or half of a penny, what do you think's going to happen? It's negligible is what I'm saying here. So if anybody had any concerns about this, because I did see this discussed over the last 24 hours, is this a concern? No, it's not. Even if you magically saw a dip, which I don't think you would, you're going to see, because again, I think it's likely to be a bunch of over-the-counter transactions. If not, okay, fine. But probably over-the-counter transactions. People aren't even going to be aware of it. People just be oblivious, and markets are going to stay about flat because it's not a big percentage of XRP. I just think it's a big nothing, frankly. And here is what Attorney Jeremy Hogan had to say about this. He retweeted something from somebody who goes by the name Row Rider on social media platform X. And there was this part of the order from the judge in the FTX case. I'm not going to read it, but I just pulled it up. If anybody actually wants to take a moment to pause here and read through it, go ahead. I just don't think it's absolutely necessary for the purposes of this video, but give you the opportunity in case. So this was shared. And this Row Rider guy wrote, in new filing, FTX has just officially received approval to start dumping their coins. They'll sell up to $50 million this week, up to $100 million each subsequent week, with option to extend up to $200 million. They'll also be entering short hedges on Bitcoin/ETH in expectations of price drops. And so, if you are worried about price drops, I'll just say this. They have much larger holdings of Solana and Bitcoin, but it's still, even that, like markets will absorb this, and it's just a temporary blip. It's seriously, it's a big nothing. I mean, you understand, Ripple's selling of XRP, it's typically less than 0.5% of total volume. So I just to give you some idea, it's like this is gonna be a big nothing. It's gonna absolutely be a big nothing. But on the legal side of all this, here's what Attorney Jeremy Hogan had to say. Since a federal judge is authorizing the sale of FTX digital assets, including Solana and XRP, back into the secondary market, those sales must be legal and exempt from SEC registration requirements. Last I heard, the DEA doesn't sell cocaine it confiscates back to the cartels. Yeah, and so, of course, I mean, this will surprise nobody listening to this particular hot jam. XRP itself is not a security. So these secondary market transactions, there's no sort of contract between anybody's going to purchase this that we'd be aware of anyway. I mean, they can create a scheme. That just doesn't seem probable. It's probably just going to be purely transactional here. And the judge is allowing this must be legal. Well, how about that? So the point's certainly not lost here on me. And then there was also, just jump over to this now. SEC continues to lose when seriously challenged in court. Ripple CLO. Ripple's chief legal officer, Stuart Alderati, has commented on the SEC's recent charges against the company behind the Stoner Cats animated series NFTs, Stoner Cats 2 LLC. And as a pause note here, I did make a video about this, so I'm going to be brief as far as my personal thoughts on this aspect, the NFT aspect of this, as well as I'm going to also try to get the explanation out here as quick as possible here. Other than to say, it's disgusting what the SEC has done. Just went for a quick settlement. This doesn't help anybody, and that's anybody that doesn't work at the SEC, I think, would probably agree that is the case. Anyway, piece continues. In an announcement yesterday, the SEC said it charged SC2 with conducting an unregistered crypto asset securities offering in the form of non-fungible tokens. The SEC stated that the company raised $8.2 million in July 2021 by selling 10,320 NFTs for about $800 apiece. Notably, SC2 agreed to settle without admitting or denying the charges leveled by the SEC. It also agreed to a cease and desist order and to destroy the remaining NFTs in its possession. Furthermore, the announcement read that the company will pay a civil penalty of $1 million. Yep, and so folks, one of the things I did mention yesterday, and I don't want to rehash everything I shared in that video, but it's worth noting here, the reason that they did this is because it's the path of least resistance. You pay the $1 million because if you don't, you end up in a really long lawsuit and you're going to pay way, way, way more than $1 million in legal fees, right? And so here you have Stuart Alderoty, Chief Legal Officer at Ripple, who shared the following perspective on this topic. I don't know all the facts here, but I do know that a settlement to avoid a crushing SEC process without admitting or denying anything is binding on no one. A cynic would call it a PR stunt. What matters is that when seriously challenged in court, the SEC continues to lose. Spot on. Here's what David Schwartz had to say. He reposted that on X, and he said, settle for single-digit millions or pay double-digit millions to get a Pyrrhic victory in 3 years. This should not be seen as a win for anyone. Yeah, and so that's what I was citing a moment ago, and that's what I was stating yesterday as well. It just is the case. And that's why I'm very happy that it seems to me, at least, that the winds have shifted, the tides have turned, and the SEC is very, very clearly on the losing side of things, even in terms of momentum now. I think they see the writing on the wall here. They lost the case that mattered most in the Ripple case. XRP found to not be a security that devastated their plan. So, yes, we're still seeing crap like this, but you're going to be seeing less of it over time, I think. And then we'll have clarity from Congress in theory one day. In theory, right? And Attorney James K. Filan shared that. And just shared a little quote from Stuart Alderoty, which was in turn reposted again by Bill Morgan, Attorney Bill Morgan, and he ended up posting me in this, and he wrote, very true. I agree with the point made in a just uploaded YouTube video by Moon Lambo that despite bullying defendants into unjust settlements such as SEC v. Stoner Cats, with which 2 out of 5 commissioners strongly and publicly dissented, the tide in court has turned, other than with 80-year-old judges who can't get it. The SEC is punishing, not protecting investors for participating in a market it hates and is trying to destroy. Yep, Attorney Morgan nailing it as usual, absolutely. And so I wrote back to him there and I said, it's way more wild and awful than I ever would have guessed if I never had the experience of covering the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit. Regular people, understandably, have no idea. And Attorney Morgan then wrote, yep, it has opened a rare window into what is going on with government agencies. It isn't pretty. And so, look, I'd certainly consider myself one of those regular people that I cited there. If not for the fact that I was so heavily involved in the XRP community, and I hold XRP myself and have for now almost 6 years at this point. If not for these facts, this isn't a lawsuit that I would have been following with any closeness, but, when you have skin in the game, it's a lot more consequential and interesting and all that jazz. And I tell you, going through this process and seeing how the SEC is behaving, it makes it very clear they're not operating in good faith. It's disgusting. It's way, way, way worse than I ever would have guessed. Because, look, and I still have optimism for the judicial system here in the United States, broadly speaking, even though, like I always say, it's not perfect. In terms of this government agency overreach from the SEC's part, whoa, holy hell. And the average person has no idea what we know. Like, because you're listening, you've been paying attention. But, if you don't have any skin in the game when it comes to something like this, I wouldn't expect the typical person to. There's life keeps people busy. Like, I get it. If this isn't something that's personally consequential to you, why would you be paying attention to this degree and be in the weeds like we have been? But wow, it's bad. It's just awful. They're out. The SEC is a government agency that harms investors. That's what they do. Pretty damn gross in my book. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.